Okay, so last we spoke, we're talking about one of the more common ways that you can tell that your body is breaking down, that the body's going through aging, the aging process, or something's wrong, and that's by the excessive secretion of fibers. This condition is generally called fibrosis. It can show up anywhere in the body. It gets diagnosed with all kinds of various designations and medical names, medical terms. It can show up in the liver as cirrhosis. It can show up in the muscles as sarcoidosis. It can show up in the breasts or in the uterus as fibroids, in the eyes, as glaucoma or cataracts. It can happen in the lungs. Your doctor's going to call it pulmonary fibrosis if it happens in the lungs or in the respiratory area. But no matter where it's occurring, it's all the same thing. This is so important. This is one of the major principles. It may be the major principle of what I call the bright side philosophy, the idea that the body breaks down generically, and it doesn't matter what it's called. It doesn't matter what your doctor diagnoses, what his diagnosis is. The body is breaking down generically, and the specific part of the body that breaks down is far less important. It's really relevant when it comes to healing. The fact that it is breaking down is what we want to focus on. Where the breakdown is occurring is not the issue. That it is occurring is the issue. And one of the classic manifestations of generic breakdown is the excessive secretion of fibers that we generally call fibrosis. Cells are sick. The fiber-making cells, they're called fibroblasts. These fiber-making cells are sick. They're starved. They're suffocated. They're toxic. They go haywire. They secrete excessive fibers. You want to reverse fibrosis? Doesn't matter what it's called. Doesn't matter if it's in the eyes or the liver or anywhere else. If you want to reverse it, fix the cells with oxygen, correct breathing techniques. Fix the cells with non-toxification. Foods and digestion are your primary sources of toxicity in the body, and that includes sugar and good nutrition. Make sure you're on the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients. Does that sound familiar? It should, because it's what we say about everything. This is why it's a major principle of the bright side philosophy that the body breaks down generically. It simplifies the healing process. Really, it simplifies the anti-aging process. It simplifies the health process. Fix the cells by correct breathing, making sure you're oxygenating correctly. Fix the cells by not putting toxicity into the body, mostly foods, and then correct digestive issues and stay away from or control blood sugar. Stay away from sugary foods, including starchy foods, or minimize your intake of them. Stick to starchy vegetables, and then of course the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients. One of the most troublesome conditions of fibrosis is an autoimmune disease that's horrific. It's called Scleroderma, and it's where fibrosis occurs everywhere, really. Sclerosis is the medical term meaning hardening, and Scleroderma is so-called hardening, derma, skin, so-called because of the excessive buildup of hard connective tissue in the skin, most notably in the skin. Sclero for hard, derma for skin. Scleroderma. Scleroderma is just another fibrotic condition, another condition of fiber secretion, another condition where fiber-making cells go crazy. Fibroblasts start secreting fibers in various tissues of the body, including the skin. And like all autoimmune diseases, Scleroderma is an autoimmune disease that involves the body's attack on itself. It involves the body's attack on its own cells, in this case, the cells that make fiber, the fibroblast, and this results in excessive production and the deposition of fibers, fibrosis, in various tissues and organs of the body, including and especially the skin. It can affect muscle fibers. It can affect the lining of blood vessels. Between the blood vessels and the muscles and the connective tissue effects, you're talking basically about 80% of the body is possibly affected by Scleroderma. That means fibrosis in 80% or so of the body. That's a lot of fibers. That's a lot of potential fibrosis, and that makes it one of the most miserable health challenges anyone could have to deal with. Scleroderma is typically associated with the aging process. It takes a while for cells to become so toxic that they can start secreting excessive collagen fibers. Kids rarely get Scleroderma. Most people who are diagnosed with full-blown Scleroderma in their 40s or 50s, although it can happen at all ages. Even infants can get it, theoretically, and teenagers can get Scleroderma as well. But typically it's a disease of aging. Typically you have to be in your 40s or 50s before you're going to start to notice Scleroderma. Doctors will tell you that it's a somewhat rare condition. Doctors will tell you around 1 in 100 people According to the Scleroderma Foundation, 300,000 people in the United States have scleroderma. But the fact is, it's probably a lot more common than the medical professionals realize. That's because there are different degrees of scleroderma. Once you get diagnosed with something, all that means is that you met a specific criteria that has been arbitrarily designated by the medical model and the folks who are selling us the medicines and the drugs. But that doesn't mean you don't have you can't have scleroderma building up. You can't have a subclinical condition where it's not bad enough to get diagnosed as full-blown scleroderma, but you still are secreting fibers in various parts of the body. Some people may not even realize they have scleroderma if it's mild enough. Some people may not realize they might have any problems at all. On the other hand, if the connective tissue gets deposited in organs like the liver or the lungs or the muscles, it can be really, really miserable, painful, even life-threatening. Some people may only have mild cases, which may cause some hardening in the skin, or maybe hardening in the connective tissue in the fingers. And these kinds of patients may not even go to a doctor. Then there's other manifestations or symptoms that may not even get linked to scleroderma. Gerd, for example, gastroesophageal reflux disease, heartburn, may have a scleroderma connection. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. 855-660-4261 is our number. Got some lines open for you. We'll be back after this. Don't go away. Okay, we do have a couple lines open for you. Love to hear from you today. If you have a success story you want to share, contribute to the conversation, 855-660-4261 is our number. Try to call early so we can get to as many calls as possible, 855-660-4261. Yesterday, the top 100 most prescribed, actually a couple days ago, the top 100 most prescribed top-selling drugs were released on... This was by, where did I get this from? I don't even know where I pulled this out of, but it's kind of interesting. The top 100 drugs by monthly prescription. I'll tell you what, if you can guess, if anybody out there can guess what the number one drug, on the list of top 100 drugs by monthly prescriptions, and this was as of June 2014, if anybody can tell me what the top number one drug by monthly prescription was for July 2013 to June 2014, and that is by prescriptions, I will get you a Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, free on me. Anybody can guess the number one best-selling drug by prescriptions for the year ending June 2014, July 2013 to June 2014. And give us a call, 855-660-4261. If you're correct, I'll get you Beyond Tangy Tangerine. We'll do it for the first correct caller. It's kind of interesting, this one particular drug. We'll go over this here in a little bit. I just want to finish up talking. Well, I don't think I'm going to finish up talking, but I want to continue talking about scleroderma. Really miserable disease, affects 300,000 people in this country, 1% of the country. Although, as I was saying before we went to break, you may not get diagnosed with scleroderma. You may not even know you have scleroderma. You may only have a mild case, which might be some hardening in the skin, fingers or toes. You may not even go to the doctor. There's other manifestations of scleroderma that may not get related or may not get connected to scleroderma. Gerd, heartburn, intestinal problems, lung problems, these can all be the manifestations of scleroderma and never get diagnosed as such. There's a condition called Raynaud's syndrome. Raynaud's syndrome is a condition of the circulatory vessels where blood flow becomes dramatically diminished in the fingers, toes, tips of the nose in response to cold temperatures, sometimes in response to emotional stresses. And Raynaud's syndrome may have a scleroderma connection too, as connective tissue fibers interact with blood vessels, causing this narrowing and constriction and ultimately a blood flow reduction. So if you have Raynaud's syndrome, if you have Gerd, heartburn, and you can't figure out what's causing it, nobody's telling you what's causing it, it could very well be a connective tissue problem. It could very well be the beginnings of scleroderma. Doctors will tell you there's two major types of scleroderma. They say one is localized. That's where the hardened areas, the hardened connective tissue areas are restricted to the extremities, or maybe just the skin or the muscles, and the internal organs are not affected. Localized scleroderma can again be subdivided into two different types. One is called morphea. That shows up as waxy patches on top of the skin. And then there's a second type of localized scleroderma. That's called linear scleroderma. And that manifests itself as streaks of hardened tissue on the arms, the legs, sometimes on the forehead. And then you have systemic scleroderma. You got localized scleroderma and you got systemic scleroderma. And that's a real problem. Systemic scleroderma can also be subclassified. They'll say it's limited, or they'll say it's diffuse. If it's limited, it's just local. It's just in a small area, maybe one organ. If it's diffuse, it's spread out all over the body. But all of this classification and descriptive mumbo-jumbo underlies the silliness, the uselessness of diagnosis in the medical model in general. Doctors can't do anything about our connective tissue diseases. Doctors can't do anything about scleroderma, but they sure know how to classify things. In fact, that's pretty much all they know how to do, is classify things, categorize things, name things. Great. They can't correct the problem, but they can name it. And all of this begs the question, why the heck do we think doctors can do or expect that they should be able to do anything? Who told us that the medical model can do anything about the degenerative disease process? Who told us that it's the doctor's responsibility to reverse degenerative disease or to heal anything, really? Who told us this? Oh, they did. They're the ones who told us. The medical model's telling us how great it is, how wonderful it is, how we need it. Does anyone see the irony here? This is why we always say on the bright side, from a healing perspective, from a degenerative disease perspective, from a regenerative perspective, if you have a disease that's not resolving itself, it's not healing itself, if you have a wound that's slow to heal, if you have a wound that's not getting better, it's just getting worse, it's deteriorating, it's degenerating, the doctor is useless. The medical model is helpless. And it doesn't matter what we name the particular flavor of bodily breakdown or what the official diagnosis or classification is. If they say, oh, this is limited systemic scleroderma, or they say, no, it's morphia, or no, it's localized scleroderma, linear localized scleroderma. Who cares? It's the same thing. Cells are going nuts, period. Cells are going haywire, following suffocation, starvation, toxification, and then inflammation, and then more suffocation and starvation and toxification, and on and on. That's disease in a nutshell. Sick cells. That's all. Sick cells. Cells gone crazy. Cells gone rogue. Do we really need a doctor to name the particular way the cells are sick? No, not from a healing perspective. Not from a reversal perspective. If you want to identify with your particular disease, that's all well and good. But from a healing perspective, to reverse the degenerative disease process, we don't need to know the name. This simplifies everything. That means all we got to do is figure out how to nutriate the body, how to oxygenate the body, how to detoxify the body, period. Doctors are going to tell you there's no cure for scleroderma. And what they basically mean is they can't do anything about it. How arrogant. Oh, there's no cure. Why? Because we can't do anything about it. They'll also tell you it's an unknown cause, which means they don't know what's happening. This should come as no surprise to anyone who examines the medical model and its sad history and pathetic success rate when it comes to degenerative disease. Of course doctors don't know how to deal with scleroderma because it's a dysfunction of the cell. And medicine is helpless at the cell level. But that's not a problem, because the divine force, through the choices we make with our free will, can take care of it. And what's more, the anti-scleroderma protocol is the same protocol that you use for cancer or heart disease or acne or any other degenerative health crisis. And folks, that is such good news. That's the bright side. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're coming back with more good health information on the bright side right after this. Don't go away. All right, we are back on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thank you for joining us. The top 100 prescription drugs by monthly prescription list came out. Top 100 list came out, reflecting 12 months from July 2013 to June 2014. If you could tell me the number one best-selling drug by monthly prescription, that is, as of June 2014, from July 2013 to June 2014, the first caller who can tell me what that drug is, I'll get you a Beyond Tangy Tangerine sent out on me. And give us a call at 855-660-4261. We got a couple lines open for you. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about scleroderma. We'll get you the protocol, which is really, if you've been listening to this program, you know what I'm going to say. It's the same idea, same protocol that we give you for everything. This is so cool and so simple and so elegant. You don't have to brain damage it. It's very, very simple. If you're dealing with scleroderma or you're dealing with acne or you're dealing with psoriasis, or you're dealing with anything, it's the same principles, the same principles. The medical model wants us running here and there and to and fro and having this diagnosis and that diagnosis and this test and that test and this drug and that drug and this procedure and that procedure. And it's so simple. It's so simple. We'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue talking about fibrosis and scleroderma. And then we'll get into a little bit about hormones as well. This is all about wound healing. And fibrosis is kind of wound healing gone awry. Fiber formation is a very important part of the wound healing process, and fibrosis can be thought of as wound healing gone nuts. And fibrosis often occurs after long-term or chronic wounding. We'll get into all of this tomorrow as we continue talking about scleroderma, fibrosis, generic health, generic ways to take care of our health, and then also estrogen as well. Okay, 855-660-4261 is our number. Let's go to New Hampshire and welcome Chris to the bright side. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Hey, Ben, how are you?
Doing good. What's going on?
Hey, I have two quick questions, actually. First,
Sure.
I wanted to guess that the most prescribed drug is oxycodone.
Nope, not yet. Not on the list.
Damn.
That's
All right.
okay. All right.
Anyway, yeah, I started listening to you on Alex Jones, and then I just started listening to your show a few months ago, and it's been great.
Thank you.
I was explaining to my girlfriend yesterday something that you had mentioned, and maybe I didn't catch the full segment part about your immune system is always compromised when you eat food.
Yeah. Is that interesting?
Yeah, well, can you go a little more in depth?
I don't want to say compromised. I didn't mean, it's not that it's compromised, it's that it's activated. Food is the enemy.
Okay.
To the body, food is the enemy. In fact, when you eat food and it goes into your mouth and down your esophagus and into your digestive tract, it's not technically in you. The digestive system is segregated from the rest of the body. The digestive system is segregated from the rest of the body because food represents the enemy, and food has to get processed and has to get purified and has to gain admittance into the rest of the body in a very regulated and tightly controlled fashion. The immune system is like the bouncers. It's like the guards. It protects the interior of the body, or the body proper, from anything that enters into the body, anything that's going to enter into the body. If you stick something into the blood through a vaccine or intravenously, then the immune system in the blood is going to be activated. If you breathe it, then the immune system in the respiratory tract is going to be activated. And if you eat it, the immune system, which is mostly located in the digestive system, is also going to be activated. And that's any food. Now, if you eat a problematic food, it's even worse, of course. But anything we eat will temporarily activate the immune system, and this is a good thing. It's supposed to be that way. It's a defensive mechanism. But what that means is that we want to be very, very careful and very judicious about what we eat. If anything is going to activate the immune system, that means that we want to be super duper careful about eating crappy stuff that's going to really activate the immune system. But keep in mind, anything can do it.
Yeah, I will say I usually feel best actually when I'm not eating.
Absolutely, you do.
The time when I'm not eating, I always feel like terrific.
Absolutely. When we don't eat, we secrete, our brain makes hormones that keep us alert and keep us active and keep us happy. And when we eat, we get relaxed and sleepy. And part of that is because a lot of energy is being spent to process that food. A lot of energy is being spent on the defense system, on the immune system as well. So it's just extremely important to understand this relationship between food and defenses, and understanding that even anything that we eat, anything we put in the mouth, even spinach or lettuce, can activate the immune system. Does that help, Chris?
Yeah, that's great. I actually have one other quick question. I've heard you talk so many different topics of food, and unless I missed it, I don't think I've ever heard you talk about mushrooms.
Love mushrooms. In fact, I wrote a blog post on it that should be up here in the next day or two on mushrooms.
Oh, great. I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, pharmacistben.com. Very important source of nutrition, good source of vitamin D, good source of polysaccharides, anti-cancer, supports the immune system. Wonderful food, but you got to be a little bit careful because there is some toxicity associated with mushrooms, and some people can't handle them. So you do have to be a little bit careful. Check out my blog post on pharmacistben.com. Okay?
Right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris. Take care. Appreciate your call. All right, Alan wants to guess on prescription drug sales. What's up, Alan? How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, not much. How are you?
I'm doing good. What do you think?
Could it be Synthroid?
It is Synthroid, Alan in New York. Congratulations. How'd you know that? That is the #1 best-selling drug by monthly prescription. And isn't that amazing?
Which is weird because you often comment on that not being a great thing.
It's an awful drug. It's notoriously, all pharmacists will tell you how awful it is. But what it tells you is how many people are being diagnosed with hypothyroidism and how many people are being medicated for hypothyroidism. How did you know that? It wasn't a wild guess, I take it. You must have had some.
Well, I'm offended that you would. No.
How did you know?
The internet told me.
Oh, the internet told you? The internet said that? Okay, good.
A little bird called the internet told me.
I didn't realize that it would be on the internet. All right, Alan. Tell you what, why don't you send an email to ben@ksco.com, okay, Alan in New York, and then put your mailing address, your street address, and then put your phone number on there as well because I'm going to FedEx it out to you. I'll send you out a BTT.
All right, roger that. Thanks so much, Ben. Appreciate your help.
Sure. God bless, buddy. All right. I didn't think anybody was going to guess that, but Synthroid is the #1 best-selling drug by monthly prescription. I could make you guess on what the #2 best-selling drug is, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It's Crestor. Statin mania hits again. And then third is Nexium. And then fourth is a drug for asthma called Ventolin. And then fifth is also a breathing type of drug called Advair. Those are the top 5 best-selling drugs by prescription, total prescriptions per month. By total prescription per month, according to Medscape.com. Okay, Chris in Texas, what's up? Welcome to the bright side. Chris? Do we have Chris?
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Ben. What are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm here. Yes.
Now food.
What's that?
Hello.
Chris, I can hear you. I don't know if you can't hear me. You apparently can't. Okay, I'm going to put...
What does a healthy stool look like?
What does a healthy stool look like? That's a good question. What does an unhealthy stool look like? That's pretty obvious. Healthy stool is going to be solid. It's going to float just a little bit. Although some people will tell you that it should sink, I think it should just kind of float just a little bit, and it should be solid and firm. It should be in the shape of your intestine. If it's totally perfectly healthy, it'll be in a nice curvy S shape because that's how your intestine is shaped. Anything less than that means something is going on. It doesn't necessarily mean you're dying or you're really sick, but it means that something may be percolating in the digestive system. We should do a show on all the various ways all the various things that stools can show up, because they do mean different things if they're pebbly or if they're loose or if they're different colors. But a healthy stool will be in the shape of your intestine, float just a little bit, although some people say that it shouldn't float. I think it should float just a little bit. Does that help, Chris?
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much for your call. It's actually a good question. All right, if you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you when we come back from our break. Do have a couple lines open at 855-660-4261. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. All right, Dianne in Santa Cruz. What's going on? Welcome to The Bright Side.
Hi, Ben. Thank you. I got your little sample of skin cream. I wanted to thank you.
Oh, you did?
I have a question about...
Hang on. Don't go away. Not just... we'll get you in a sec. Tell me, have you started using it yet?
No. I got it yesterday.
Okay, just use small amounts. Use it on damp skin. Do you have a wound, or you're using it just as a anti-aging kind of thing?
I get cat scratches and chicken scratches and garden scratches and things like that.
Good deal. Just put it on the wound as soon as you get the scratch. It'll help heal the scratch. And then also you can use it as an anti-aging or anti-wrinkle product. Just to make sure you don't get it near your eyes.
Okay.
Or don't get it in your eyes, I should say. It might burn it if you get it in your eyes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
All right. Good deal. So how can we help you today?
Well, I have a question about the Beyond Osteo FX.
Yes.
I blend it with frozen berries, and I like it that way, but I'm not sure. Is there something you're not supposed to take with it that affects the absorption?
Probably want to take it with a little bit of food. You might not want to take it with fiber, too much fiber. There's minerals in the Osteo FX that the fibers can tie up. If you I don't think fruit, it's probably not a great idea to mix it with fruit because the absorption on that stuff is so good because it's a liquid, it goes right to work. But if you start to include fibers with it, you might tie up the copper or the zinc.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about because I thought I heard you say something about that.
Sometimes
in passing.
Yeah, sometimes fibers can tie up minerals. I try to keep my fiber separate from my minerals.
How about milk? Is milk okay?
Milk with the Osteo FX?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem at all. In fact, that'll increase the absorption probably of the minerals. And also, the Swear V. Have you tried the Beyond Organic products yet, Dianne?
No.
You might want to try the Swear V. That's got some that'll help you absorb minerals also. Anytime you're doing a mineral supplement, the Swear V and the Omicide. Swear V in particular has got some nice chelating properties and it'll help you absorb minerals. So you might want to mix it up with that. But I don't think you should have a problem with milk. In fact, I think milk might improve the absorption of the minerals.
Yeah, it's just so highly flavored with the vanilla that I really need to thin it out.
Why don't you dilute it? Dilute it with water.
I do with water.
It's still too much?
Yeah, it's a little cloying. But
what cloying? I like that
cloying.
word. Cloying. I like that. Are you a chef? That sounds like a chef word.
No, I'm not a chef.
No, okay. All right.
Okay. I just find that it's really good with frozen berries, and I wasn't
Do you blend it up? You use a Vitamix or a blender?
A blender, yeah. It comes out.
How about have you mixed it with a smoothie at all?
Yes.
No, it doesn't sound like you liked it in a smoothie.
Well, I get the unflavored whey protein and mix it with that, and banana sometimes. But
what kind of
the vanilla is so potent. It's like whoa.
In the Beyond Osteo FX.
Yeah.
You know, some of the flavors, that's interesting. We had a call about the sweeteners and the flavors, and it's just that minerals don't taste good, and vitamins don't taste good. In foods, vitamins and minerals are in such tiny, tiny trace quantities, milligrams, micrograms, nanograms. But when you start doing a supplement, you're taking these concentrated minerals and vitamins. It's difficult to disguise the taste and the flavor, and that's why almost all liquid, especially liquid supplements, will have some kind of flavoring or some kind of sweetener. And I don't know of any other.
The tangerine is delicious.
You like the tangerine? Some people don't like that either. The 2.0, which do you like better, the 2.0 or the regular?
I have the 2.0, and I've had both, and they're both good.
Have you tried mixing those in smoothies?
Not so much. I dilute it with water and ice,
and then you sip,
really good.
And you sip on it all day long.
Yeah. At first, when I first started about 3 months ago, I thought it was a little much, but I've grown accustomed to it, and I really like it now.
How long have you been doing it?
I think since February.
That's it? Just a few months?
Yeah.
What did you notice?
I lost about 18 pounds.
Well, now, that is beautiful, Diane. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome.
That's a great thing.
That is awesome. I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, why don't you send me an email, ben@ksco.com, put your address and your phone number, and I'll send you out a Beyond Tangy Tangerine just for calling.
Oh, well, thank you. And my guess would have been Coumadin, but I guess none of those.
Let me see where Coumadin is. That's probably up there. Yeah, that's probably up there. Somebody guessed OxyContin. That's 25 on the list.
Wow.
I got to find, Coumadin, I'm sure. Coumadin for a long time was in the top 20 or top 25, but now there's these new drugs that have come out that have taken some of Coumadin's sales, Pradaxa and the other ones. So, but that's
the advertisement.
The ones that you see advertised all the time. That's right.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you so much for calling, Diane. Send me an email with your address and phone number, and I'll get you Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Oh, that would be so nice. Thank you so much.
All right, God bless. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, hello there.
Yes, I'm calling in about your program. I have a question about scleroderma.
Oh, yeah. You've called the right place.
Am I talking to the right person?
You are talking to the man, except we only have a couple of minutes. Where were you? You should have called earlier.
I have limited, Austin, Texas. I have limited scleroderma.
Okay.
And my question is this. What to restore the functioning of the fibroblast and goose cells, which I understood that you said were malfunctioning and might cause fibrosis or something.
Listen to you. You nailed it. You got it down. What's your name, ma'am?
Jane.
Jane, you got it down. You understood it perfectly. Your cells are going wacko. Have you listened to this program before? Have you listened to
No, my friend Nancy's listening, and she's the one that put me on to this.
Okay, well, here's
question too.
Here's the deal with scleroderma, okay? Your fibroblasts are going wacko. They're making fibers where they shouldn't be making fibers. Fiber manufacturing is tightly regulated and tightly controlled. When the cells, the fibroblasts, get sick, this regulation and this tight control of fiber production goes awry. So what you got to do is figure out, why are your fibroblasts sick? Well, we always talk about this on the bright side. I'm sorry, you said Jane? Tell me your name again. Did you say Jane?
Jane.
Jane. Okay.
I'm calling for Nancy too, and she has PBC, which is liver, but I think it's the same condition.
Same idea. Fibroblasts get sick for the same reasons all cells get sick. They're starved. They're missing nutrition. They're starved.
Yes.
they're suffocated, they're missing oxygen, and they are toxic. They're accumulating toxicity. And this usually follows some kind of autoimmunity or inflammation. So the first thing you want to do is control the jacked up immune system and the inflammation. And you do that by working on your digestion. There's not a person who has scleroderma on planet Earth who doesn't have an associated digestive health issue. Okay? That's you.
Yes, true. That's
okay.
true.
Well, sweetheart, Jane, I'm not psychic, okay? I'm telling you right off the bat, this is just how it works. Once that digestive system breaks down, then you're off to the disease races, but it's particularly problematic in terms of autoimmunity. Get yourself on digestive enzymes immediately, today. Don't waste a minute. And get
What's
yourself
the
on.
name?
They're called the Ultimate Enzymes. Call 866-735-2470. Tell them you want the Ultimate Enzymes after meals, or you want the Ultimate Enzymes and then take them after meals. You can also take a couple between meals, and that'll help you with pain and inflammation. With your digestive enzymes, with your Ultimate Enzymes, go buy yourself some Bragg's apple cider vinegar.
I have that.
Okay, good, perfect. Do a swig of it after your meals with your digestive enzymes, with your Ultimate Enzymes. While you're on the phone with the Brightside Ben phone team, 866-735-2470, tell them you want the BioLumin Nightly Essence Probiotics, and you want 3 in the morning and 3 at night. And then you also want to tell them you want the Healthy Start Pack, and then you also want to tell them you want the Z Radical. The Z Radical, you're going to do a capful or 2 capfuls in the morning, a capful or 2 capfuls at night on the Z Radical. And on the Healthy Start Pack, you're going to do 3 Ultimate EFAs in the morning, 3 at noon, and 3 at night, 3 times a day for a total of 9 a day. You'll get the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and you're going to sip on it all day long. If you have any, and then the Osteo FX, you can take a capful once a day. Now, if you have any specific questions, send me an email, ben@ksco.com. Say, this is Jane from Texas. Put your phone number on there, and I'll walk you through this personally. Jane, if you do everything I just told you, with the Ultimate Enzymes, the apple cider vinegar, the Healthy Start Pack, and the Z Radical, and you're also paying attention to particular problem foods, you are going to notice a dramatic, and I mean dramatic improvement, and anybody listening, not just Jane, anybody listening, a dramatic improvement in your autoimmune disease symptoms, your scleroderma in particular. However, there is more that you have to do. This is just the beginnings. This is just the first step. But I want you to experience how powerful this can be once you start to work on your digestive system and get some good nutrition in there. Thanks for your call. Jane, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget, send me an email, ben@ksco.com with your phone number if you have any questions, and I'll walk you through the process. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about scleroderma. We'll get you I just gave you a lot of the protocol, but we'll throw in a couple more things tomorrow. And then we'll talk about the hormonal link, the hormonal connection. It turns out a lot more women get autoimmune diseases and scleroderma than men, and there's a reason for that. We'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue talking about wound healing and fibrosis and anti-aging strategies on the bright side. All right, folks, have yourselves a wonderful, spectacular, beautiful day. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.